What's up, everybody? Happy Wednesday. What a beautiful day in the neighborhood, right? And well, we'll talk about the neighborhood, but what a beautiful day. God is good. How about that happen? You know what I'm saying? And just wishing you all a happy Wednesday. I hope your day was beautiful, wonderful. This is Real Talk Chronicles. I'm your host, Bill Forster, with my co-host, Kevin Branzetti and Chuck Richards. And I'm sure Richard Williams will be joining us later. With that being said, I'm just going to run through the sponsors because as we're building, Real Talk Chronicles is getting sponsorship, and that's a beautiful thing. I love that aspect of what we're doing right now, And so first and foremost, it's sponsored by the Deli Arts Magazine. It's sponsored by Soft Illusions Art Gallery. It is also sponsored by Melba's Soul Food Restaurant in Harlem on 8th Avenue, 114th Street. To break it down for easily make it easy for people. And it's also sponsored by Chocolat, Leon Ellis, entrepreneur, restaurateur, Chocolat, and Harlem Underground Clothing. And with that, we have so much to talk about. We were going to do a show on undercovers due to certain situations beyond my control. We're going to have to push that show back, and that's all right. I have no problems with that because the beautiful thing is, as long as you got me and my co-host, we can kick it about anything we want to talk about, and that's what we will do tonight. With that being said and saying all that, shout out to my high school brother Wendell Hicks is in the building. I see you. First and foremost, I have to give my condolences for those in the New York area. I don't know if you heard about the car going off the West Side Highway and hitting the tracks and I think in flames, 3 fatalities. That's my neighbor across the street, little Mikey, little nephew. So I send my condolences to his family, and you know, I've just the Garrett family. I was, Saturday it was in New York. I think death has been all around, and I've been to more funerals. So shout out to the Garrett family. Rest in peace, my man Mike Strong. Also, a former promoter extraordinaire, Mr. Silk. He passed away. So just a lot of people are passing away for reasons and or fatalities and tragedies. John Taylor's in the building. What's going on, John? But tomorrow, let me just run down the schedule. Tomorrow, I'm giving back to a field that I had the pleasure of being a part of, like nightlife entertainment. And I have 3 individuals coming on speaking about their legacy and their legendary in the business. A lot of people, you may have been to their parties, you may not have been. So we're going to definitely talk about them. I have Lincoln Sessons, Melvin Francis, and Sam Tuga coming in. That's going to be a series that I'm going to try to start. I'm also going to start a baseball, if the season ever starts, baseball. And we'll talk about, I have Sal Mata coming in helping me with that podcast. We'll be talking about baseball and football and other things. And Chuck, and you're always welcome to come with that. Or Kevin, if I do a hockey segment, you'll definitely be a part of that. Shout out to Tremel Thompson. Tremel, we're gonna have to get you in real soon, brother, on a Wednesday. I want you on a Wednesday, Tremel. Shout out to Kevin. Nathan Ingram, love the show. Much needed. Nathan Ingram, appreciate you. We shouted it out. You're a sponsor of the show, Daily Arts Magazine. That's the creator, Nathan Ingram Sadoshi. It's an awesome magazine. We're going on the 4th edition. He is #1 in sports magazines on Amazon. So if you want that magazine, they're on Amazon.com. Google will tell you that it's #1. Amazon will tell you it's #1. No BS. Show that magazine. People that you may even know, and you'd be like, I didn't even know you was in the martial arts, and then you in the magazine, because that's a beautiful thing. His son is doing their thing too. Him and his lady, I think they're doing taxes. With that being said, the first Monday of the month, we have Assemblyman Al Taylor. The second Monday of the month, we have Dr. Marilyn Corder. The third Monday of the month, we have, and she's coming back. Ladies and gentlemen, Allison Williams is coming back. So please come back and hear her testimony on what she has been through. You let Allison tell you she's been on the other side, been on this side, and she can tell you her testimony. The fourth Monday of the month, we have Pastor Kevin Graves. Sharon, what's going on? Nice to see you. And without that and further ado, every Wednesday we have Kevin and Chuck and Richard. We have Chuck and Kevin and Richard, and we have Richard, Chuck, and Kevin. So we got all the guys, and the band is here. Good evening. And let me ask Chuck, since he was the first one here. Chuck, how are you doing, brother? What's happening, man?
So far, so good, brother, man. You know, it was a Wednesday. You wake up, you breathe in the air, walk in the streets. I got all my fingers, all my toes. You know what I'm saying? So, as far as I'm concerned, man, it's a good day, brother. It's a good day.
Oh, let me just, I see my sister in the building, Miss Holmes, a.k.a. Hot Mess. Always sending hugs and prayers to you and your family. She just lost her husband in a car accident, tragedy.
Condolences.
Yeah, she's watching. So sending real hugs from the Hot Mess to the other Hot Mess. We love you. We appreciate you. Priscilla's in the building. So yeah, everything good with you, bro?
Yeah, man. So far, so good. Family, everybody's good. You know, daily issues, man, we all got to work through. But the main thing is that every morning, man, we wake up, we get to see the sunrise, brother. So that being said, that's half the battle, you know.
Absolutely. Kev, what's going on with you, man?
Good evening, gentlemen. Hey, doing well.
You been any rock climbing lately? You've been
I actually haven't been for like almost 2 weeks.
Oh my God, what's going on?
Maybe it's a little less. But like,
has it been the weather? The weather's keeping you out the rocks?
Weather, work, kids.
Yeah,
I get out there.
Ain't get anybody up there to push against the tree, little rocks. We got Tommy Finlayson in the building. What's up, Tommy? One day we're gonna have to get you on the show. Lieutenant Extraordinaire, longevity, promoter to him and my man Sly Francis. With that being said, let's see. We got Ukraine, Russia. That's crazy right now. You know, you guys want to give it a little spin on anything of that? You know, I mean, just prayers out to Ukraine. 45 seems to like with what Putin is doing. Okay. But surprising. You know, sending prayers out to Ukraine. I mean, I get the jack of the beanstalk mentality, and they're not trying to get bullied. But Kev, I'll let you just give you a little, you know, few words on that, and then Chuck, and then we'll move on to something else.
Look, I mean, I think at least one thing with this, we're all united and on this. I wish we were a little tougher, tougher with our sanctions as a world. You can't let a country just invade another country.
Right.
And go with, you know, we're kind of like, you shouldn't do that. We sound tough, but, you know, we're still buying gas and oil from Russia.
Yeah.
Shut it all down.
Yeah.
There's no thing in there.
No, I think, you know, I got to agree with you on that. I mean, listen, you know, smacking the hands and sanctions and Putin is a real bully. He's talk about when you talk, can we say stubborn, my way or no way? You know what I'm saying? Like, dude,
not stubborn. He's a dictator. He's a murderous dictator.
Absolutely, very much so. Chuck, you want to chime in?
I mean, the thing to me, man, is just so shocking that, you know, in this day and age, right, you still have, in the 21st century, you still have people wanting to conquer other people. You know what I'm saying? And to blatantly going so far as it not only being a war, but it being an internal thing where you're trying to take over a particular region of the European side of the world that wants and believes in democracy. And we all know what this is about. The bottom line is, if someone is saying to some degree it's about him wanting to bring back the old USSR, you know, maybe that is the case. We also know that there is a great deal of wealth and it's a great deal of oil that is underground in the Ukraine. That land itself has a natural resource which can almost, I would say, equal that of what Russia is able to give in regards to gasoline and oil. So it's more about the land, and now to go in so far as understanding and seeing the veracity and the aggressiveness that he's going about trying to conquer this region, but the people being resilient, and not for nothing. So far, they've been kicking ass, right? They've been kicking ass. They've been holding their own for them to be a small country. They doing what they got to do.
Yo, standing fast. Like what? What?
Yeah.
Like yo.
You know, and now Putin's like, whoa, I didn't expect this. Now I got to step it up. But, you know, I also believe that, once again, like I said, what Kevin was saying, I wish we were a little tougher. I wish at one point, you know, we actually had at one point back when we had like the allied forces where we said, okay, enough is enough. We're all going to go in. But everyone's under the impression that by pushing and going in outside of them fighting, that it may become a nuclear thing, which
Absolutely.
I don't believe, honestly speaking. That's the last thing. That would make him look so foolish that in order for him to conquer a small region such as that, for him to go nuclear, that would be a punch in the mouth. So he's going to do whatever he has to do on the ground. But right now, like I said, Ukraine is holding their own, and God bless them. I mean, I'm sorry for the casualties and even the children, unfortunately, that have died subsequent to all of this, you know, the civilians. But, you know, they got to do what they got to do, man. And my prayers are with them.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, like you said, something just to make a little light of things, to not put such a sad spin on it. Like you said, he wants to go back to the USSR. Shit, I want to go back to where kids was able to drink out the water fountain, out the fire hydrant, and play in the street. But that shit ain't happening. You know what I'm saying? Like this dude done lost his damn mind, B.
Right.
And I can see him. It's like he got that attitude. Like, so, you know, you say something. So I'm just gonna do it. And then when he's gonna come down and talk about, yo, if anybody else trying to get involved, like you gonna feel it. Oh, you gangster. You really gangster with your shit. Okay, that's what we doing. Shout out to Terrence Gatling in the building. His father passed away about a month ago. Shout out to my guy.
Man.
Appreciate you. Kyle Torres is in the building. What's going on, baby? Narco Ranger with me. So, with that being said, we can just talk about still crime is going on around the world. You know, we got people out here throwing feces on people. What the kind of shit is this?
What?
Yo,
really, you had to use that phrase?
Like, yeah, but you got to use that phrase. What type of shit is that?
Yeah, exactly.
Nastiest of nasties.
That's some nasty shit.
Yo,
wasn't throwing. He rubbed it in her.
Yeah, I mean,
what the dude?
You know,
And then, listen, this is when I have to be another person, not John Q. Public, not Bill Forster, Real Talk Chronicles. Yo, if you shove shit in my face or my wife's face, I don't care about any mental illness. I don't care about shit, bro.
Yeah.
What do you can't tell me? Listen, like, to me, that's premeditated. That's not sick. It's sick to think that you could get away with it, but it's premeditated. You walking around with shit in the bag, and then you go be like, "Oh, hey, there she is."
Boom.
Like, really? That's what we doing?
I'm gonna pretty meditate them teeth in the back of that throat. That guy's gonna lose
absolutely.
a limb. I'm sorry, man. No way.
Yo, listen. Let me tell you something, bro. I be kicking ass all night, man. Listen,
I mean, not to take away from the feces aspect, but I mean, just the overall immoral act of putting. I mean, we sit in each other's faces on a normal basis based on after COVID, right? And people have to wear masks, and people are very self-conscious about just breathing on one another, right? And not being able and not wanting to catch COVID and these various, different variables of this particular pandemic and this overall disease. You take some freaking feces, man, which is the bottom basement of everything and anything that someone has excremented, they've eaten, they've drank, whatever. and you put that in someone's face, but God only knows in terms of the amount of disease that someone can just catch from just, I mean, just the mere fact that you thought and you actually took it upon yourself to bag this and waiting to walk the street to smack someone in the face with it. I mean, and you're right, that's not even mental illness, man. That gives me the political right to not only kick your ass, but to put you close to death, because that would just piss me off. I would just lose it, man. I would lose it.
Yo, how can we we're losing it thinking how despicable that was a act. You know what I'm saying? And come on, man, come on, unacceptable, unapologetic, and I don't give a damn what anybody say about it. And then there's our other host. What's up, Rich? What's going on, brother?
Oh man, I was having all kind of problems logging on, man.
Turn your volume up. We got you on whisper.
Can you hear me? Am I good now?
I hear you in your quiet storm voice. We got you in your love voice. We need you to turn it up. We still got you in falsetto. You know what I'm saying? What's up? No, we got Chris Gregory in the building. Congratulations! I think you retired. You're retired, right? 2H strong. Pastor Kevin Graves is in the building.
Can you hear me now?
A little louder. You coming? You're getting in better. You know. What's up, Diane? Diane Zane is in the building. Shout out to everybody. My man Jason Braswell. I didn't forget you. And Princetta said that's something people do in jail. Shout out Tracy Luckner in the building. Hey, Stefania. Listen, I don't know where they do that smudging feces in somebody's face, but I know right now there's probably a lot of people with
1 2.
1 2 check 1 2. There's a lot of people in the ground, you know, from that BS. Stefania's in the building. Brenda McLaughlin is in the building. Who else did I see in the book? Tracy, Norm, Big Norm is in the building. Shout out to everybody chiming in. This Real Talk Chronicles. I'm your host, Bill Foster. I got my co-host, my panel in the building. I got Kevin Branzetti, Chuck Richard, and Richard Williams. We're gonna have a good old conversation after Richard gets settled, because he out there playing with this hockey fans and shit.
I can't get no reception in the back cave.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
It's
I'm
gonna
gonna there you go. Get situated, brother. Exactly. You know what I'm saying? So I'm gonna mute you to let you get situated.
You got me now? Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we got you. Kevin, you got him. Chuck, you got him.
Got you now.
Yeah. Listen, go ahead now.
Am I good now?
You're good.
Absolutely.
You're good.
Absolutely.
Oh, okay.
Good.
Oh man.
So, you know, first and foremost, we just gonna kick it, and we're gonna have some free love tonight and freelance and converse about anything and everything that happens. Anything that you want to talk about, we're here to talk about it with you. If you want to join the panel, like always, you're always more than welcome. Text one of us, somebody will send you a link, and you're more than welcome to come on and chop it up with us. Let's see what's going on in the world today. We talked about Putin. I think it's a unanimous feeling on how he's doing what he's doing. We still talking about this man running around throwing feces, and you know we still know crime is doing what it is. Baseball,
brother. And one thing I want to say, you remember that? Didn't you send us? It was another immoral act. Didn't you send us an article not too long ago about someone who actually put sperm in cookies or cupcakes and gave it out?
Yes.
To classmates.
Yes. Yeah. I don't know what's. Yeah, I don't know what she did. We gotta. So the thing that Rich, I'm gonna add you to that group. We start sharing stuff as Kev says in the green room. This lady, she was putting sperm in cookies or something and was giving it out to people. Stefania wants to talk about how the Africans are being treated fleeing Ukraine. That is a big elephant in the room, bro. Let me tell you something. Ken, will you talk about we get love nowhere. You know what I'm saying? I don't mean to make it a joke and laugh at it, but it is getting to such a point that the sensitizing and the lack of respect, you start to get immune to it. And you I will never get immune to it. But the thing is, when somebody tells you, you get to the line, it's like, yo, we trying to get out of here, and we're like, no, we got to let white people go before you. Just shows you our value. We're good for playing, as that lady said, we can shut up and dribble. We can do it. We can entertain. We can do so many different things, but of value, we are not equal yet. Richard, Chuck, Richard, you just came on. I don't know if you want to comment on that or
Oh man, whether we have value, we need to dribble and shoot. Is that what you said?
No, what I was saying, how it seems like we don't have value in anything. All we are good for is dribbling and not talking, dribble and shoot. I'm just saying in lieu of what's happening in Ukraine, where they don't want, they held back the people of color for leaving, and they told them, like, you got to wait, and they had to let the white people go. And talk about in lieu of what the other, what we were talking about, it was a teacher who gave it to her students. She was thrown under the jail. Absolutely, Jason. And then thank you, Tracy. It was cupcakes to her kids, giving sperm to how crazy. And listen,
Where she get sperm from?
I don't know.
So what?
Yeah.
So the deal was that her husband was a sheriff. I've forgotten what county. So supposedly he was a sheriff, and he was fired because there was some impropriety associated with him and his wife. There had been photos. They had been actually caught with having children in bed. They had child pornography. They even got prosecuted at one point, maybe possibly prostituting young girls. So what happens is she was actually taking sperm from her husband and putting it in cookies and in cupcakes, and was actually giving it. And she's a school teacher. She was giving it to
But
her.
if she was charged all of that, how was she a school teacher?
Some way, somehow, regardless of the term. The same thing with this officer.
What state is this in?
I can't
Louisiana.
recall. Okay, yeah,
She's a
Louisiana,
former teacher.
right?
She's not teaching anymore.
But she's not teaching anymore. But at the time, she had actually, this was the second, I think she had teached in Louisiana in two different sectors in Louisiana. The first time, I guess, she got through unscathed, and she went to another school district and became a teacher. But the second time she was there, she actually put her husband's sperm, who already was fired as I think he was a sheriff of some sort at the time, for all types of impropriety associated with pornography and child porn and prostitution and things of that nature. And what she did was she actually flipped on her husband, and she testified against him. They're no longer married. I think they're divorced. But she turned state evidence against him so that she can get less time. But she testified and admit that, yes, she actually put sperm in cookies and baked goods and fed them to her. I think it was the kids were like in middle school or something of that nature. If I'm correct. I'm just trying to recall the article. Don't hold me to the gospel. I think that's the sum and substance of it.
Hey, Rich, I see you on again. Do you want me to bring you in on the other thing? And
Yeah, if you can, because I put it up on the computer now.
I got you, brother. There you go. We got you. And I'll get rid of you on this one. Okay, cool. All right, there we go. Yeah, there you go, you little rascal, you. You know what I'm saying?
Hey, and you know what? You know what's funny? I can't see myself on the computer. I can only see myself.
Well,
I don't know why.
You want me to bring you back? I see. What's up, Anthony Arango? I know you had an awesome demonstration out there, a seminar. I wish I could have been there. I had a funeral to go to. Yes, to find, like you said, just nasty as hell, Tracy. Yeah, that's the article. Oh, Tracy put the article in the building. Norman said, Bill, what do you call a black millionaire? To call us rich and when we leave the bank. That's all. What's up, Albie? Rubber Room. AJ Miller. Hey, Miss Pearl, what's going on, sis? How you feeling? Which one you want me to keep you in, Rich?
Oh, keep me in on the phone because I
Which one?
can't see myself.
That's the other one, right? I'll
Yeah,
go back to the other one. That one you want?
Yeah, give me that one.
All right. Okay, cool. And I'll come out of this. So yeah, I mean, it's just so much going on. Everybody, just the world we live in. It's just crazy right now. It really is. Hey, Sharon Stevens Brown, what's going on? Lovely name. So shout out to everybody chiming in Real Talk Chronicles. It's a podcast that keeps it real. If you like what you hear, share it, subscribe to it.
Bill,
And, yes.
Remember what we were talking about earlier?
I'm gonna get to that.
Oh, okay.
Don't speed now. Slow down. We're gonna get to that. So hey, Melanie, what's going on, sis? How are you, my childhood friend? Okay. I sent you some stuff. Tell me before you chime in on it. Stefania says, "Did you see that Putin is now attacking civilians? What is really going on?" Thank you, Pastor Graves. Yeah, my condolences for those. Like I said, my neighbor across the street was that fatality that the 3 people went off the West Side Highway and hit the tracks. And like I said, I just been going to funerals left and right. What's up, Joe? Shout out to Laura, Penny in the building. And I wonder if America will be forced to send troops. I don't know. I mean, any of you guys, I don't know what right now. A lot of people are not feeling what Putin is doing. I don't know. I hope we don't send troops. Maybe we just, like I said, like Kevin and Chuck were saying earlier before you came on, Rich, we might have to get a little stronger with our sanctions and stuff like that. But like this dude slapping him on the wrist really doesn't mean anything probably in his mind. He probably is just like, okay, good. I don't care. So. My man, my good brother Al B in the building, undercover extraordinaire, undercover for life, baby. Tonight I really wanted to do a show on undercovers in New York, but the people that I asked to come on, they weren't able to come on. One had a little medical situation he had to fall back on, so I didn't really reach out to people. Some people don't really feel like talking in front of the camera. This is the shit that we like to do. I have a good profile from either side. So I just
You look like Lenny Green, man.
And you know what? I'm gonna say this. Lenny's older than me. He ain't gonna like that shit. But I can't say that I was, I'm older. Stefania said our sanctions already have their ruble valued as less than 1%, 1 US cent. What more can we do? I have no idea. I really don't know. If I was a Secretary of State or Defense or something like that, I probably have some ideas. I mean, I think for once, I will say this is above my pay grade. If any of you guys want to try to answer her question, we can. Otherwise than that, I have to.
What was the question?
She said our sanctions already have their ruble valued at less than 1 US cent. What more can we do?
Cut it all off. Cut off all their funding. Like I said, we're still buying gas and oil from them. Right? We're still using, we're still working with them on things. We're still talking to them. We're still buying goods from them.
That's the same thing Jason said. He said stop buying oil from them.
That's it. End it all.
Yeah.
I
guess, like I said, then in essence, whatever it needs to be done to show, like, we're in unity and we're not co-signing that BS. So,
and to Stefania's point in regards to the blacks that unfortunately, I mean, the people that are the Africans that are in the Ukraine, they're there for education, right? Because the overall level of education or being able to pay for education is almost it's low. So a lot of the Africans come to the Ukraine who want to be engineers, doctors, and some of the high-profile professions, because the overall amount of money to pay for that education is almost soup to nuts. But now to put them in a position, they're coming in for an education, and now they need to get out of Dodge because things are hitting the fan. They says, well, no, we have to let our Ukrainian people out first. You're last. And then what they did was they honestly said, no one can get on. You all have to wait as the Ukrainians are trying to get out. So a lot of the Africans ended up going to Romania, and Romania took them with open arms. Not only took them with open arms, but fed them, ensured that they were medically cleared, and actually got them out of Romania to go back to whether it be Guyana, whether it be any region in Africa. So it's kind of odd. Here it is, you have the Ukraine that's making it very clear that, okay, blacks are still, third, fourth class citizens, but they absconded and went to another country, Romania, which treated them like citizens, like human beings, and make sure they got them out, untainted and untouched. So it's just a weird dynamic how just a line between two different countries and the overall way they view them and view us as a people is different, and it just seems to be something that's worldwide. I mean, no matter where we do and where we go, as long as we're black people, we're always going to have to fight. And that's just the bottom line. We're always going to be looked upon as less than. And we have to make it very clear that we're not. We have to make it our position to ensure that people understand that we're not. But we're always going to have this conflict. Even in another country, we're still going to have these issues. But I do give Romania a great deal of credit for what they did and getting them out and helping them and assisting them.
Yo, talk about Romania pulling up their sleeves, talking about what? Bring it. Listen, they
I do have a question.
What'd you say, Kev?
So I have a question because I'm trying to do some reading, fact checking, seeing what's there, what's not. I know with Ukraine, the men are not allowed to leave.
No, it's the women,
right? So was this African men that were trying to leave, and that's part of the standing order? Men, so it was to get their women and children out first. And then, and that I can understand. If the reason is to get their women with their kids out first, you can only fit so many people on a train at a time, right? They're packing the crap out of them. And then they told the African men to wait. I got no issue with that.
No, but it wasn't African men. It was African families. They told them no, whether it was women and children included. They was like, no, we have to get our people out first. So get to the back of the bus and wait your turn.
Yeah,
I'm looking for it.
I mean, it's. I think it's just a sad state. Even in times of war, like people of color got to get disrespected, which is crazy. Like, like I can't, and I don't even want to minimize and say like Ukrainians that war is bigger than people of color. But the bottom line is people. If everybody's getting out, it's just like people running over to China now. I mean, back in the day, and then there was a video where a black person, a couple, I think, was going into a mall or someplace, a shopping place in China, and the person was like, "Nah, like, you can't come in, like you black or something, right?" So the white lady was coming up, and she was like, "What's going on? You're not letting anybody in?" He was like, "No, you can come in." So she was like, "I can come in." He was like, "Yeah, I'm just not letting black people." White lady was like, "Oh, okay." You know what I'm saying? Like, she came in like it wasn't that serious. I mean, I think the world is just becoming so, desensitized to people of color, and which is a whole nother conversation that we can talk about at any given time. But there's some things that I do want to talk about tonight. And anybody, we can come back. Like Norman said, American basketball players over there cannot get out. Wow, that's crazy. American basketball players can't get out. Ugh. Yeah, because that's what a lot of overseas athletes go and play. Yeah. I listen. I don't know what to say. All I could do is go like this. Everybody, I'm putting my prayer hands up right now because it's so big from all aspects. I just want to pray for peace. I don't even want a war. You know what I'm saying? So like let's deal with the other elephant. Like no war. If there's no war, we won't be dealing with the black issues, because let me tell you something. I don't think right now Ukraine cares about black people when they got Putin bombing them and trying to attack them, right? You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not trying to minimize us by no means, but I think right now it's like Putin feelings. Yeah, should everybody get out? Absolutely. I'm listen. black people, we the first one to get the hell out of Dodge. You know what I'm saying? Man, you know, we pack our shit up and be in a minute. I never forget. I'll tell this little joke and then I want to go on. I never forget when 9/11, we was down there, we was digging. And you know how when you're down there, all of a sudden they were like, shh, shh, shh. And somebody said, yo, something's falling. I never forget, me and my boy, we was running, right? And we got like about 2 blocks, like up to Liberty or someplace, wherever the hell we was going. And we looked back and the thing didn't fall, but I guess because it had been hit and it was still loose, it was swaying. So people were thinking about like it was falling. So when we came back 2 blocks down later, people was like, yo, you was out of here. I was like, yo, listen, somebody got to tell a story, B. I'm not staying here to tell that shit. that shit wasn't going to hit me in my damn head. You know what I'm saying? Yo, I'm down here. I'm doing my hero level. I'm helping looking for bodies. I don't need to be a part of that. No, listen. Yo, so Kev, yeah, exactly, Al B. Buckets. He said, you cannot solve it at once. We as individuals have to decide what we can do, even if only a little time. Yo, you know, you're right. Shout out to Teresa, TJ, what's going on, man? Kev, I sent you some stuff. The first thing, read me, like, and I got Kevin, you're gonna love me tonight. I got some spins for some shit tonight. I sent you. I sent you
Cop Sucker Punch.
Cop Sucker Punch. Not that yet. I don't want to talk about that one. I wanted to go to the other one where I think
Justice for Marvin.
Go to the one right behind it, or the next to it. What is it? It's 2, I think. Yeah. What is it?
So the dude on the left.
It's Justice with Marvel, but I think it's a TikTok one.
That's Henry McGee. And they were both the subjects of
Yes,
You're looking at something
that's
and
it.
telling me.
Yeah, I think that's it.
100 miles from each other. So
Are you hearing playing?
I think I heard it playing. Yeah, I got good ears. I'm a detective. I was.
X.
Oh yeah.
You still got the ears though, huh?
Yeah. I'm Martin Lawrence that shit right up. You know what I'm saying?
That's a TikTok for Marvin.
Yes, that's what I want to do. Hey, Rich, when you do, hit your email, your computer, and remove yourself. So because that take one thing off the screen. Just on your computer aspect, you can keep the. We already got you on the phone or whomever or however you're watching it. What's up, Carol, with the wonderful last name? Sorry, I missed you guys last night. That's my non-paying job karaoke. I got you. Kev, go ahead, put it up. I want to play this, and then we want to go back and play Justice for Marvin. So I got a different spin on this. I just want to play this. Rich, this is what you and I were talking about earlier.
Okay.
You ready, Kev?
Sure.
All right. I just want to play it, and then we'll go with it from there. All right. Play it, Kev.
I'm going to kind of state the obvious without actually stating the obvious. So the dude on the left, that's Marvin Guy. The dude on the right, that's Henry McGee. Now, they were both the subjects of no-knock warrants. They both live in Texas, by the way, 100 miles from each other. So, it was a no-knock warrant. You're looking for drugs. Now, one of the dudes actually did have 4 ounces of marijuana in his house. And the other dude, there were no drugs found in his house, right? One other thing they have in common is that they both shot and killed one of the officers that, that was serving the no-knock warrant. Now, the difference is that one of them is still sitting in prison 7 years after the incident, awaiting trial, and he's actually been charged with capital murder, and he's looking at death penalty. And the other dude, well, the grand jury determined that he was acting in self-defense. So he's not looking at any jail time. for murdering a cop. So I'll leave it at that, and I'll just leave it at that.
All right, Kev, get rid of that, and then let's go to the one Justice for Marvin. You'll see how I'm segueing all this shit in together.
Hang on.
Let's go for Justice for Marvin. You need me to remove you, or you good with this?
What's one's called Justice for Marvin?
I don't know. You mentioned it in the email. What is it? That one we already did. What there's another one, something about Marvin. Is this it right here? Everybody, this is Real Talk Chronicles. I'm your host, Bill Forster, with my co-host, Kevin Branzetti, Richard Williams, Chuck Richards, and we appreciate you all. If you watch it from
The one
YouTube,
called Justice for Marvin was the one I just showed you. That's what
there's another one that I think.
And there's another one just called Marvin, and that's this one.
Yes, that's what I want to play. Before we play that, everybody, we're sponsored by Soft Illusions Art Gallery, Deadly Arts Magazine, Melba Restaurant in Harlem, and Leon Ellis Chocolat and Harlem Underground. So yeah, now we're gonna play this. Now after this, we'll have a discussion. But I just want to play this whole scenario out. I want you to hear some of this. All right, I'll let you know when we can stop it. Go ahead, Kev.
You may not have known about this, but it has been more than 7 years, and Marvin Lewis Guy, a black man, remains behind bars in Texas, having never received his day in court. You might think that's impossible, but yet it is the case for Guy. He is accused, you see, of shooting a Killeen Police Department SWAT detective during a no-knock raid on his home, Guy's home. And that was in 2014. The detective died. And Guy says his actions were in self-defense, that he did not know it was police coming into his home at 5 a.m. And after years of multiple trial dates set and then moved, efforts are now picking up to get Marvin Lewis Guy his day in court, his day of reckoning, and a chance at justice, which is what you should have in this country. Joining us now is Pastor Nick Gentile, who has been following the case very closely for some time now. Pastor Gentile, you got involved in this case. Let's talk about it. Talk to us about Marvin Lewis Guy and why he remains in jail today after more than 7 years of not even receiving his day in court.
Well, thank you, sir, for having me on. It's a real honor, a blessing, and a privilege. Marvin's a great guy. I've been fighting for justice for him for over 5 years since I first found out about this, made a documentary about it, put up a website about it, and have been pushing justice for Marvin Lewis Guy for a while. This is just a grave miscarriage of justice, which has been done to this man. I believe that what the Killeen Police Department did was completely unjust, and they're attempting to cover up the crimes they've committed against him. And they're responsible ultimately for the death of that officer, and they've scapegoated Marvin. Instead of the police department being held accountable, those who were there that morning, 5:40 in the morning, May 9th, 2014, them being held accountable, he's the scapegoat. And because he's black and he's poor, he's an easy scapegoat. And it's absolutely unjust. And I'm sorry, yeah.
Pastor Gentile, you mentioned that he's being scapegoated. When this incident happened at Guy's home with a no-knock warrant, and we've seen the results of that in the Breonna Taylor case. In this particular case with Marvin Guy, what really happened? Did police open fire, and was it friendly fire that may have killed this SWAT officer?
Yes, they did a no-knock raid on his apartment. They were attempting to enter into his apartment. They broke the glass, which was positioned near the front room, right in the front room where he was sleeping. Marvin heard the noise. He did not know it was the police, and he opened fire. Most people in Texas are armed. Marvin's no different. He lived in a high crime area, so he was protecting himself and his girlfriend, who was sleeping in the back room. They attempted to enter. He shot into the darkness, not knowing who it was, thinking it was someone trying to enter in to do him and his girlfriend harm. When he realized it was the police, he surrendered. They then proceeded to brutalize him, taking him to the ground, shoving a gun in his mouth, breaking some of his teeth, shoving a gun up his butt, threatening to kill him, calling him racial slurs, committing police brutality in the most heinous way. His girlfriend was tackled to the ground. Some of her ribs were broken. She was hiding in a closet. They made her come out. As soon as she came up, because they were shouting orders to her and she didn't know what was going on, it was early in the morning. She was asleep and she was woken up because of the ruckus that took place. And she was tackled to the ground because she didn't respond to their orders quickly enough. She was again, broken ribs. She urinated on herself, and she hasn't wanted to talk about this for fear of retribution or retaliation at the hands of the Killeen Police Department. Marvin has been denied due process. He's been denied a fair and speedy trial before an impartial jury of his peers. His constitutional rights have been completely trampled on, and I believe it's both because he's black and he's poor. And his legal representation has been a complete joke. He believes, and if you go to my website, freemarvinlguy.com, you can listen to conversations I take with Marvin with his approval from his perspective on what has occurred and what he's been subjected to. It's a grave miscarriage of justice that has to be rectified because he's made in the likeness and image of God. He has the same intrinsic worth and values as everyone else. And he's an American citizen and has all the rights and freedoms. He should enjoy them like the rest of us. And he's been denied them. And it is just despicable what has happened. And he believes, I'll say this quickly, that his defense team is in the back pocket of the prosecution. He's not. He's been railroaded completely. This whole thing is just disgusting.
Did the police state why they had created this no-knock warrant and went into Guy's home on that night?
Yeah, they claimed that a confidential informant purchased drugs from Marvin on 3 separate occasions. But in there, and you can read this, his full report, the full police report that's on freemarvinlguy.com. You can read the police statements, and they say a confidential informant claimed that he made 3 drug buys from Marvin. That never actually happened. The confidential informant never actually said that. They claimed there was a lot of foot traffic around and outside of Marvin's vehicle and his apartment, that Marvin stayed for prolonged periods of time within his vehicle, which they felt was suspicious. But there was nothing that, in my opinion, pointed to probable cause to be able to get a warrant signed for them to do this no-knock warrant, do this no-knock raid. And when they did the no-knock raid, they didn't find any drugs in his car or in his apartment. Nothing. And this is just corrupt, supposed to fight the war on drugs. What drugs? No drugs were found. This man has been mistreated in a most despicable manner. And a great documentary has just been released, an 18-minute documentary that everyone should check out, that you can find on another website that's freemarvinguy.com. And on there, you can learn different ways that you can share Marvin's story, you can sign a petition, and you can support his legal defense fund. He needs a lot of money for good legal representation. So free Marvin Lewis Guy.
I've also noticed, didn't mean to cut you off, but I have also noticed that it's on other social media platforms as well.
Yeah,
what is being...
All right. Kev, I'm going to need you to do your statistician work expertise and find out who that white gentleman was, to find out more on that story. I tried this myself, but my name is not Stats. It's you. So let's talk about let's just talk about the elephants. You got 2 individuals that have the right to have firearms, right? When I listen to the Marvin story, I'm more concerned about the justice system, the due process. Like, why hasn't he had a trial or whatever the case may be? Now, I understand you shoot an officer, I'm working with you. You might reap some of these benefits of pain. You understand what I'm trying to say? I'm not justifying it, but the heat of the moment, the shootout, pop, get down. Police. Listen, I'm not justifying everybody. I just want everybody just walk this path together. because we can always talk about the black and the white situation. Let's talk about why the hell there hasn't been any drugs found. Let's talk about he had the right to have a gun. And the judicial system has not given him his just cause. That is the big elephant in the room. I don't care. Like I'm not trying to say I don't care about the white man that had the drugs, because Richard, you and I talked about this earlier, right? And I don't know his story, but he shot the officer too. And as that man was saying, they understood. I think if you want to play more of it, we can listen to more. He was like, they didn't have no problems. They let him go. They understood his situation.
And he had drugs.
Yeah, and he's the one that had the drugs. I'm trying to find out, like, how does this shit math out? And Kev, Rich, Chuck, and Rich, this leads back to what you and I were talking about. And I want you to go back to that conversation you and I was having earlier. Even though we started off with this story, Richard and I was having a conversation earlier. And Richard, if you can allude to it, if you remember, even if we have to go back to the text and we could talk about it, you were talking about what you felt officers should do and shouldn't do. If you recall some of that, even if you have to go back to your text.
Okay.
Go ahead, please.
Well, I can't go to the text because I'm on the phone with you. But anyway, I was making a suggestion, man, that a lot of officers that don't participate in that kind of policing where they're actually breaking the law to make an arrest or straight up killing people by mistake, right? And the officers that aren't like that, that may or may not have worked with someone like that, but the chatter is around and everybody knows who those bad guys are. And where is the investigation on the part of the police officers about those officers? Even if you weren't there, the chatter that goes on between other officers and situations that occur where that this dude was he's living dirty, I was saying to Bill that there should be some kind of investigation team developed for retired police officers like Bill and I believe you're also retired, right, Chuck?
Yes.
Officers like yourselves should have been forming some kind of or creating something where you can actually have a review board of officers that fall into those categories, that have these dirty records, that have these incidents. And if it's viewed by good cops like yourselves, that I believe that will legitimately act on it if given the power, right, to deal with these situations. But, like me and Bill talked about, this has to come from the ceiling up. From the ceiling down, I guess your union has a strong contract that kind of handcuffs the judicial or investigative process when it comes to dealing with dirty cops,
But Rich,
because the relationship that's trying to be bridged with the community and specifically people of color that have a history of this unbalance of justice from police to the courtroom to the prison. I mean, something's got to be addressed by starting with those good officers that believe that they're good officers, but know that these guys are doing what they're doing and getting away with it, So I felt like if it was some kind of a organization formed where alongside of the city or state or whatever could allow retired police officers to sit in those seats to have, like they have the civilian complaint review board that's like Barney Fife that doesn't have a bullet in his gun, You know what I mean? So, I mean, it's got to have some teeth to it. And if it's done that way with real police officers that know the job, know the training, know the rules, right? And know that there's something that will be done to those officers would act differently. Because right now, if they think they can get away with it and it's like status quo, like business as usual, because they know partner he ain't gonna say nothing, even if he don't like me, even if he thinks I'm a racist, he's not gonna say nothing or do nothing.
He
Oh,
scared Chuck away. First off, he ran off.
Chuck.
The-
Yoo-hoo. Oh, there he is.
There he
There
goes.
Chuck,
So, Rich,
I don't know what happened, brother. You sitting there saying,
I will say this.
You was about to answer, and that shit said, No, let me stop. Yeah, that's it. So I'm gonna let
Kevin,
I'm gonna let you respond, and Kev, I'll let you respond, and then I'll try to piggyback off yours, and then Rich, I'll let you get the last part of that. Go ahead.
Well, I mean, and to his point, I mean, it would be invaluable, right, to have guys who have a background, whether it be from an internal perspective or having a pure training aspect of understanding the culture associated with the police department and being an integral part of being a part of the process of those police officers, yes, who have done heinous and done things which are totally against the law, especially toward the community and within the police department. And the thing about it, which is funny, is that I'll give you a prime example. When I came through what at the time was called NSU. So when I came on the job, I mean, I'm kind of telling on myself, it was in 1987. So when I came on NSU, was NSU 5, and NSU 5 was this neighborhood stabilization unit that oversaw, or we worked out of several precincts that were located in Harlem, right, which is Manhattan North. So we got the opportunity to work within the 3-0, the 3-4, the 2-6, and the 2-4. So those are the precincts that I worked out. Now, even as what you would say, a probationary police officer, you get to work with various seasoned officers in each precinct. And there are times that you actually have to, they put you in a car and you ride around, you get an understanding of what the community is or the nuances associated with the community. Now, even at that level, we had 2 training sergeants and 1 lieutenant. And it was told to us directly, and this is funny you should say, because there are people that understand and know who the bad apples are in the precinct. Even if, for argument's sake, they may or may not be under investigation, whether they've been caught but they're known, because even as rookie police officers, when we were at roll call, depending on the precinct we were being sent to that day, I remember Sergeant Brown and Sergeant DeLongis would say, if you are assigned to this officer or this officer, you are to say you wish not to work with them. Never told us why. Never told us why we were to tell that to whoever we were being assigned to, especially if we were in the 3-0. There were certain police officers that automatically out of the gate, he says he would actually stand roll call when we were in the 3-0. And when, let's say, the lieutenant was going to put us or pair us with, let's say, one of the senior officers for training purposes, automatically Sergeant Brown or Sergeant Long says, no, he's not going to work with him.
that was in the 80s?
Yeah, this was in the 80s. He says, no, he's not going to work with him. No, don't put her with him. So there was a culture that they knew who the cops that were in that precinct that were doing
That was
things
that was a dirty 30, though.
That's exactly what I'm talking about. And those same cats that got collared were the same dudes that he says, no, he's not working with him. He's not working with him. He's not working with him. So they knew there was some underlying dirty shit going on in that precinct. And they knew who was dirty, but no one said anything. They continued to function under the radar and do whatever the hell they wanted, regardless of circumstances, whether the CO was aware of it or where, and the other troops and people in the squads knew too. They stayed clear of them, but there was a clique of them. Well, once again, unbeknownst to them at some point, there was an undercover that got involved with them. And when they started doing these buys and started getting drugs and doing these search warrants, they didn't know that the people that they were doing these transactions with were undercover police officers from internal affairs and from the narcotics division. And that's how they were able to rope them in. But like I said, even at that time, even within that precinct, within the culture of that precinct, the people and the members of that precinct knew who was doing dirty shit. But they turned a blind eye to it. So yes, I mean at some point there is an internal affairs unit that has done extensive work and has actually uprooted and actually done their job of gotten rid of a lot of these officers. But to your point, I think it would be in terms of community based and to bring and to bridge the gap if they did have a panel, if they did have guys who actually worked in the police department who had tenure, who were able to give some insight some way somehow and to assist if there was an issue in terms of corruption or misconduct. I was personally I was assigned to what's called an inspections unit for OCCB at one point as a sergeant. So what we did was we dealt with what's called M crimes, right, or M violations, which was misconduct. So my unit was we worked directly for the chief of organized crime, and our job was to go after. Unfortunately, we would get cases directly related to officers who did things that were of misconduct, and we would do surveillance or we would watch. But those are the things that 9 times out of 10 they would get suspended for, but they wouldn't get arrested. Anything that would elevate it to something that was on a particular criminal level, that was then pushed to another group that oversaw organized crime, which was an IB unit. And their job was to go after anyone that did anything that was of criminality. So there's two levels to it. There's a one level that deals with things that are internal, where they may be stealing time, or maybe they getting drunk on the job, or they're taking unauthorized vehicles home, or they smacking their wife around, or something like that, to guys that are actually committing crimes, and then IEB will get involved because those people are going to be prosecuted and later on they're going to be locked up.
You're muted, Bill.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Very insightful. Yeah, thanks, fellas. Appreciate it. I just want to read some comments, Kevin, before I let you chime in. And then we can come back to these comments. Pastor Kevin Gray. Okay, let's see. AJ said they need to have more. Oh, okay. AJ says, shout out to AJ Miller, my dude. He said they need to have a money incentive that would pay cops for pointing out bad cops. Then Pastor Graves takes it back to Russia. I'm going to read it, Pastor Graves. He says, Russia attacks on the Ukraine has united the world and potentially has increased NATO's membership. One of the ways to hurt Russia is to isolate the economically. They need to feel the financial pressure of their actions at home. Military, the Ukrainians, and at the home, IEDs, and provisions, explosive devices. House to house fighting is a strategy as well. Perhaps a determined insurancy will challenge the resolve of the Russians to fight along with Russian protests and public opinion that what President Putin is doing is morally and ethically wrong. Okay, now we're back to the real thing. Pastor Kevin Graves was a little late on that one, but I got to give him some real talk love. You know what I'm saying? Now, my man Al B, and I'm glad Al B is with us tonight because he was an undercover extraordinaire and didn't get the props that he deserved. So if Albie never comes on this show and just stays the way he is, I totally understand, right? But the bottom line is talk about a guy second to none in what he's done. And that's my dude. I love him. Albie, if I didn't tell you I love you, you know I love you, bro. A real G with this game. Like my man Roscoe that was supposed to be on tonight. And it was so funny in lieu of talking about this case because we said undercovers have purchased, so we can delve into that a little bit because Kev and Chuck and you and I, we both know, and me being an undercover, we understand how this search warrants come to fruition from an undercover perspective. With that being said, Albie said it's the root. Law and order comes later after it has developed whatever it is. It is. I mean, I see the difference. A X as in UC. Look at that. I didn't even read this. I just said he said I broke it down like that. I didn't even have to break it down. I have to convert it into a job. Every person is different. Training, life experience, everything has a part in that incident. I was known, and it was a fraud. Exactly. Sued and won 150,000. Yo, Google Sergeant William A. Planeta. Yo, remember that AB? Albie? Yo, Planeta, wasn't that some shit? He was my supervisor too for a minute. And then AJ says, so Chuck, if you were one of those cops who helped bring those bad cops down, thank you, and thank you all for your service. Thank you. Albie say IAB groups. Kevin Graves says the Mullen and Knapp commissions are very necessary. So that's a lot. I can read those again. Albie, you know I love you. You my dude, man. You know what I'm saying? We ride together always, 100. UC for life, official cats. But Chuck, I mean not Chuck, Kev, give your perspective on that, on
So-
what they were talking about.
Sure. Look, not every police department's the same. Not everybody is the size and the scope of NYPD.
Mm-hmm.
But I will say this, Rich, with NYPD, the number one people who file complaints with internal affairs about corruption are cops. That is where the majority of investigations come from. Cops are not going to get on the news and say, I saw corruption tonight at work.
Right.
They're going to go, find a way to make. Back in the day, it was a payphone, but today it's whatever, a throwaway phone. They're going to make a call to internal affairs. They're going to get their log number. They're going to document it in case something comes up later on. But they all want to do it anonymously. And cops are the number one source for internal affairs investigations.
Yes. Very true. Very
there,
true.
There are, and internal affairs is made up of lots of cops, but there are also I think it's every prosecutor's office. I know most of them do. They have their own unit of retired cops who do the corruption cases, who are people like the group of us who sit there and when those corruption cases come in. So NYPD gets the corruption case first, maybe it goes to the prosecutor's office first. It depends. But internal affairs, when they get a case, they'll bring it to the prosecutor, so it gets a second set of eyes on every single one of them to make sure that we're doing this right. This cop needs to go, a cop needs to be arrested, whatever it is. So it's always two sets of eyes on those kinds of cases, and it goes up very high up the food chain in both places. Right? These are not cases that don't have multiple levels of review.
Well, can I ask you a question?
Sure.
Okay, because this has happened to me before, and I've seen it happen many times. Do you consider corruption when you got 5 plainclothes cops riding around in a car, jump out on someone, right? Don't have their badges out, guns out, forces people out the car, searches them, right? And I've seen this.
So
pull a person's pants down to his knees.
That I haven't seen.
Right? Just totally humiliate them and then find nothing and tell them to get the fuck out of here. Do you consider that corruption?
No,
if
that's
five
misconduct.
officers do that and just let the person go until they see him again.
Rich, not corruption.
No, that's misconduct.
All right, so that kind of misconduct, right, that's happened to people of color, whether it happens to you at that moment or while it's not happening to you, you see it happening to somebody else on a regular, right? What do you do to that? I mean, how do you speak to that as a police officer that knows that that unit rolls like that, and that's what they do, and that's like acceptable, and it's just misconduct. Because the psyche of a black man that walks around every day changes. It's not like you, Kevin, walking out of your house or your kids walking out of your house. It's like the Chinese water torture. It's a drop of water. It doesn't hurt, but the constant drip, drip, drip is torture psychologically to a person, to the relationship that he has with what's supposed to be something that he could count on, rely on for safety and all of this stuff that people like yourself translate to what a cop is supposed to be to society. But it's a different it's a different frequency. Y'all on AM, we on FM. So you hearing and seeing something totally different than what we see or hear.
Rich, let me interject for a second. And Kev, I hope you keep your train of thought and what you wanted to reply to, and Chuck yourself too. First and foremost, officers are not going to come out and just say, reiterating what Chuck and Kevin were trying to say, and say, oh, Chuck was bad, Kevin is bad, and I said it, so what? It's not going to ever happen, because to be out in that street, you will be a Serpico, and God forbid something will happen. Because let me tell you something, that's when I understand the blue line, the blue wall of silence, right? In that mind, that's when street code of snitch falls into the police department, right? Because the first thing is they're going to say you took that man's job away. You understand? I'm not justifying. I'm just giving you theory. I'm not co-signing. I'm just giving you a mindset. When I was talking to you earlier and we was talking about it, I said when I worked, it didn't happen in front of me. Kevin always says on numerous shows, podcasts, he says, we knew who the heavy-handed people were or stuff like that we worked with. But certain sergeants didn't make us work with them. They kept us away because we knew that was like the bad apple, right? Nice guy at the bar, at Rags, you know what I'm saying? Or other places at Cooligans or some shit. You know what I'm saying? Everybody's nice when they buying you a beer. But the bottom line is that the person that you want to put your career on? Because unbeknown to us, what happened back then, if it happened now, there's cameras, lights, and everything, there's recordings, people will lose their jobs. We know policing back then is totally different. In lieu of what you were talking about, how the two gentlemen had just said, what you stated is misconduct. It's not corruption. Did certain supervisors and officers take their job to the extreme? Absolutely. This is where we have the problem, because there's no balance. There's no good officer that will search you down without pulling down your pants. You know what I'm saying? Like, you got to get that cowboy that's going to pull your pants down and humiliate you. And he's only doing that to a person of color. And that's why it's fucked up. You're not going to get the good officer. And I'm just using us, like, say, Chuck, Kevin, and I. We're not working in that unit. Maybe we're not working in that unit for a plethora of reasons. Maybe we just got married. We have children. We have, we don't like those hours. I don't want to work no 6 at night to 2 in the morning. I'd be mad as a fuck. I'd be pulling your pants down. You know what I'm saying? I'd be mad as shit. Bro. You know what I'm saying? So there's certain variables that go in it. There are some officers that really feel like they're making a difference. You're fucking delusional. You know what I'm saying? Now, I give props. Shout out to a lot of officers that are chiming in. I give props to all the officers that did their job to the standard of the law and respected all nationalities, right? Listen, we know some sergeants, some supervisors, some officers. Sometimes they may just push that little lever, and you'd be like, yo, what the fuck? You know what I'm saying? But then they'll find the gun. And you'd be like, oh, shit, how'd he do that? You know what I'm saying? Because I wouldn't have did that. Because I felt like I would have been violating or disrespecting somebody. Sometimes you need that necessary evil person, but you gotta reel him in. I say all that to say, I never worked with somebody, and this is what we talked about earlier, Rich, and then I'll give it back to Chuck and Kevin, or Kevin and Chuck. I didn't work with anybody that was pulling somebody's pants down in the street and disrespecting them, because they respected me enough. Whether they knew that I was Radio Raheem, you know what I'm saying? Whatever you thought I was, or you know, if you thought I was Malcolm X, or I was Reverend Al Sharpton, but you knew you was working with me, but you knew I just wasn't going to pull you. He wasn't going to do that on my watch.
Hey, but Kevin, That's why it's important that somebody like you work with those kind of people. Now, my mother, right? There was a situation on her job where there was a supervisor that had been allegations had been made that he was trying to sexually harass certain women, right? And my mother was like, yeah, that motherfucker did it, blah, 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 da, 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 da. So I said, Ma, he ever tried that shit with you? She said, hell no, he ain't tried that shit with me. I said, why not? And the reason was because that motherfucker knew who to fucking try it with. Right? So if you say to me that they said, oh, Chuck, don't work with them. Or Kevin, nah, don't work with them. That to me, that's saying, let them rock. Because they're not going to do that shit with you. So I need them to do that. So I don't want to put you with them because you're going to be the one to stop that shit. You're going to be the one that when that shit, yo, what the fuck are you doing? You know? And the minute you do that, they say, oh, he ain't down with this shit. So that's going to stop they flow right there. So when you say that to me, they say, oh, don't work with them. I'm not going to put you with them. And these are the people that are assigned to put people with who they're supposed to be with. If you know that they rock like that, you're supposed to stop that shit unless that's what you want. So I'm not going to put Chuck with them. I'm not going to put Kevin with them or Bill with them because that's going to fuck that up. So I'm going to act like, you know, I'm doing you a favor when actually I don't want you fucking my shit up over here. I got this unit right here and these are my lone wolves and they do that dirty work for me, right? So you're going to have people that feels like there's a place for something like that, right?
You know,
so
Rich,
you're going to not disturb it. And when I was talking to Bill earlier, I said none of this shit can happen unless it's cool up top. If it's not cool up top, it ain't going to happen at the bottom.
Well, Rich, you know, the police department has figured out and does it well, I think, getting rid of criminals from the police department and, you know, arresting them, prosecuting them, fine.
When you say them, who are them?
The criminal cops.
Because there's some people that get away with shit.
Yeah, look, in society, there's always people who get away with shit, right? Like this,
but some get away with way more than others.
But getting rid of the useless and disrespectful cops, that hasn't been figured out yet. I've seen cops, and we've all seen it, right, Bill, Chuck, who spend more time trying to get out of doing their job than it would have taken to actually do the work they're supposed to do. It was a pet peeve of mine as a supervisor. If I saw one of my guys, and it was called shit canning something, it drove me nuts.
Absolutely.
It could have been something as simple as a phone call the person was taking. I remember calls where the cop took the call and he's like telling them, no, that's not us. It's you gotta call One Police Plaza, they'll do it. And I'm like, what do they need? And they're like, well, they need this from this whatever unit. I'm like, so you got to figure that out for them. Like, you don't tell them to call another number. It's our job. Everything was always off. I couldn't stand the minuscule stuff like that, Rich. Like, it bothered me. It bothered me if somebody on the street, I had it where a cop, you know, a woman came into the precinct, face was busted. I'm like, oh my God, what happened? Talking to her. She's like, well, I talked to a couple of cops and they sent me in. Those cops were dead to me.
Exactly. Hey, Kev, let me interject for a second. Let me tell you something. We got an old co-worker, and I'll tell a story real quick. Timmy Hines.
Yeah.
Right? You remember Timmy Hines? I remember Sergeant Jim Murray, one of the best sergeants I worked for. There was something, I don't know what it was. I don't know if it was missing or presumably missing or some, whatever it was. And everybody, you knew Timmy would just go beyond. He'd do more than connect the dots. He'll draw the dots and find something to connect him with. And then, you'd be like, come on, man. You know what I'm saying? But I never forget, Sergeant Murray said one time, he said, I got to give this job to Timmy. I know he's over extra. Shout out to Timmy Hines. I don't know if he's ever listening or ghosting us or whatever, but but I'm giving you your props and shout out to Jim Murray. He said, I'm gonna give this job to Timmy. because he says, yo, he gonna go beyond the Call of Duty footage. You know what I'm saying? Like, yo, like he's gonna be a nauseating. What Kevin was saying, like a woman bruised or battered, Timmy is gonna be like, who did it? Where are they? What they look like? Timmy's gonna have before that job gets to that precinct. Timmy might have collared that person. He might have called the 85 because he might have tried to arrest 3 people. And you'd be like, yo, what are you doing, dude? You know what I'm saying? But it may have turned into a clusterfuck, as we call it in the police terminology. But, you know what I'm saying?
Oh, guy.
Excuse me. Oh, sorry. Anybody from the church? Excuse me. You know what I'm saying? But Timmy would have it would have been like he was the ultimate. Like he swore his hand. He took his oath. He's doing his job, bro. He's doing his job. Like I said, I'm not saying he's better than any other cop. I'm not saying he's worse than any cop. But what I'm trying to tell you is that he's going to investigate. He's that cop that's going to investigate it. Let me just read some comments real quick, Kevin, and I'll let you finish up. Stefani said, I can see how they can be with the impression given. Brenda said, that's the real problem. Is it coming from the top? Princella, she corrected me. Thank you, sis. She said, give me a minute, y'all. I didn't put my glasses back on. She said there was no mayor executive order number 16. Straightforward individuals don't want any part with problematic colleagues. We could talk about that. Tracy said dirty cops are protected and then innocent people suffer at the hands and then it's covered up, justified. Kevin Graves said it is possible to get rid of the criminal element that operates within the police department. You know, when people say that, I mean, no, go ahead, Kev. I'll let you talk, and I can come back to that because I see the question here. Go ahead, Kevin. I apologize. You were
but that's Richard. That's what I'm getting at with this, right? Like the criminal, the actual committing the crime ones. I think the NYPD has that figured out. Are there some things they're missing? Sure, but the effort and the work is there. Getting useless cops off the job, getting cops who are just routinely disrespectful off the job, we haven't figured that out in any business. Nevertheless, the NYPD, you know, there is not a organization business out there that would be better or wouldn't be better off with flushing 20% of their people, right? Just get rid of the bottom end. What you described earlier, you know, the 5 cops getting out of the car, the advantage today, Richard, if you make that complaint, there's body cameras. There's cameras there. There's, you know, you get a license plate, you get something, you're going to have them. There's not much, you know, back in the day, there's no cameras, there's no body cam. We could have came up with any story under the sun and figure out, they would never be able to figure out which cop it was. So most allegations disappeared because you know, except for me, it was either me or the other redheaded guy at the precinct. So it wasn't hard for us that we got picked out quite easily. You know, you didn't want to be the redheaded guy in the precinct. You know,
they'll call you out all the time.
Guy, you can be the black guy, the Spanish guy.
Yeah, but you know what? You know what, Kevin? Again, like this is something that happened. I'm walking down the street, suit and tie. Just came from one of these meetings, and I'm walking down 8th Avenue between 151st and 150th. There's a Chinese restaurant right there. So I'm walking, and I'm just going to stop in the store, get something, jump in my car, and drive off. One of the guys in the neighbors says, yo, they call me Dick. Yo, Dick, you got to do something about these crazy-ass cops, man. Yo, I said, what you talking about? He said, look. He said, yo, look at them right there. So I said, what happened? He said, look. So I walk over there, and I'm standing away from the scene. My back is literally on the wall, but I got my suit and tie on. And I'm watching these cops. They got out of this SUV, and it was 5 of them. And there was a double parked BMW. They had gotten everybody out of the car, and they were in the car searching it, right? So I'm looking at these cops, and they don't have no badges out. They got these big guns, you know, baseball hats on, you know, hoodies, all of that. All of them white. So I'm just standing against the wall and I'm watching, I'm looking like this because I see one cop in there, like all in the seat. So I'm just looking at him. So the other cops start looking at me. He's like, and he calls I guess the guy that was in charge. He said, yo, and points me out. So the guy walks over to me, he said, yo, you can't stand here. I said, why? I said, I'm not interfering with what you're doing. I'm standing against the wall. He said, well, we're working here. I said, I'm working here too. He said, oh, you on the job? I said, yeah, I'm on the job. He said, oh, you off? I said, no, I'm not an officer. I said, I'm the community liaison of this district. So I said, you want my card? So he takes the card. He said, oh, well, you should know if this is your district, it's guns in this district, blah, 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 blah. I said, listen, I'm not your problem. And so the guys that were standing there, he said, listen, you need to get out of here. I said, I'm not going nowhere. I said, I don't know those people and I don't know you. But all I know is I don't see any badge on you. I said, where's your badge? He said, I don't have a badge. I said, well, what precinct you working out of? I don't work out of a precinct. This is how he's talking to me. I already gave him my card showing him I'm with the state assemblyman's office. And he's talking to me like that. So then he turns to them and say, you need to tell this guy to get out of here. It's going to be worse for y'all. So the people are like, yo, Holmes, yo, we good, man. Go ahead, man. Go ahead. I said, man, I don't even know y'all. I said, for all I know, you might have a key in that car or some weapons. I don't know. I said, you're not from around here. I said, but neither are they. I said, I'm not going to allow nobody to just disrespect my neighborhood. Whatever's going on, I'm just standing here as an observer. That's all. And I'm not going nowhere.
You know what's so funny, Rich? I commend you for your community activism, or just caring about your community. But I think, Kev, Chuck, correct me. Let me just read what Norm said. He said, Bill, we as law enforcement give so much and lose so much that John Q. Public will never understand. And that's such a truer statement. You can't say that. The bottom line is there are people, Kevin, Chuck, we know this terminology we call cowboys, right? Has there been people that have worked in communities of color that didn't care about people of color? Absolutely. Communities of color didn't get cared about until people of prominent status lived in those communities and that was able to make phone calls. That's when the job changed. It might have changed under Kelly or Bratton, but when you was able to pick up that phone call and be like, yo, so-and-so, I had Officer Foster or Richards or Branzetti do so-and-so, and then next thing you know, that before you'd be like, yo, 10-2, you'd be like, uh-oh, what the hell happened? You know what I'm saying, fellas? And next thing you know, you'd be like, yo, did you? The next thing you know, your ass is either transferred or you watching this seashores by the seashell. You know what I'm saying? Seashells by the seashore. It was what it is. That's when you understood the power of the job, right? When somebody can touch your boss and your boss made sure that they didn't want the smoke. Now, everybody can touch somebody, right? The Cowboys are gone. Were Cowboys needed? Yeah. I didn't want to be a cowboy. I didn't want to work with a cowboy. I wasn't the one that wanted to chase people all night long and talk about he looked suspicious and he looked at me, because I've seen officers pull people over for a person looking at them and I had to because I've been a part of that. Rich, this is where now my ethnicity plays a part. I've been a man walking down the street in Harlem, going to my building, and cops, street crime rolling down, tinted windows, going slow. Now, I was undercover at one point. I work in narcotics. And now I see a car going slow looking at me with tinted windows and I can't see. Do you think I'm not going to stare? Miss Blanche, Annie Mae, Susie Q is going to stare at a car going slow driving down the street. That's the BS that a lot of other officers have played in the game. And then when you stare at the car, inside the car, what's the verbiage? Oh, he's looking at me. He's staring at us. Let's get out, toss him. Am I right, Kevin? Right, Chuck?
Well, for me, it was the opposite, though. It was the guy who wouldn't look at you.
Yeah, but you, but
that guy.
But I agree with you.
You
But
don't
what I'm
see
saying, we've heard that verbiage, right? You know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
So I'm trying to say now you get out and you toss, and this is where the stop, question, and frisk had got blown out of proportion. So, Rich, you know what I'm saying? The individuals like you now, okay, shame on you for looking like Fred Williamson, 6'3", standing there looking like you Black C's up in Harlem. So that's gonna be a problem for a lot of cats.
Why? But why is that a problem?
Because
I mean, we laughing about it and all of that, but the reality is, when that happened to me, I'm just standing against the wall. I mean, I'm on the wall, not nowhere near it, and we talking about a double parked car that they searching. Their car is on the opposite side of that car. They're triple parked. Cars got to go around them. So I'm at a safe distance.
Rich. Let me just end this right there with this. What you don't see, you can't tell. So the bottom line is, why do you think police officers all over the world will tell you, not just New York City, any place, get out of here? Because you don't know you didn't see it. If you stand there and watch, you are the problem, because now that means they have to go by P's and Q's. So, I mean, let's call it, let's put the elephant in the room. I mean, to think that somebody, now, don't get me wrong. I'll tell you a perfect story. Got a foot pursuit in Harlem one time. Me and officer I was working with, she was a class behind me. And of course, I'm the senior person, so I was letting her drive, because a lot of times they don't let female officers drive. So I was letting her drive. I didn't care. We just got our sandwich off 116th. We was going back to the precinct. All of a sudden, post 47 in Harlem, right? That's 112 or 113, whatever. Drugs. All of a sudden, foot pursuit. So now we chase the guy, right? Now we drive down a one-way street, come around, find him. We see him. I tell her, I said, pass the guy. This dude is chasing him a block all the way around. He's chasing from 8th to 7th from 112th to 113th, and boom. She passes him. I get out the car. I grab him. I hold him down, right? Got him. Everybody cars are flying by. I'm like, I got the dude in the lock, arm bar. He's not going nowhere. Dude comes up the street, right? John Q. Public comes up the street. I got money locked. I look. I'm like, what are you looking at? He's like, I just want to make sure. He hit me with the Damian Wayans from and Living Color. I don't want you to hurt the brother, because I'm here expeditiously. I'm watching this situation. I was like, okay. So I still got dude locked up. So I said, all right, bro, it is what it is. You know what I'm saying?
He rolled up on you with the Living Color. Allow me to set my false skin on an issue here, because you retain your liquids while masturbating your amniotic fluids.
Let me tell you something. He broke the shit down. I got dude in the bar. I was looking at him like, he's like, unconditionally, I saw how you perpetrated and infiltrated the situation. So I'm not going to allow my brothers of colors to. I was like, oh my God, dude. Yeah, I said, okay, stay there, right? Now everybody comes. Yo, Bill, I didn't see where you came from. They cuffing the guy, right? What do cops do? What are you doing here? Get out of here, right? Dude says, he breaks him down. I'm not going anywhere. I know my grounds. I am 12 feet plus 1 inch. I don't have to go no fucking where. I was like, so now Katz is like, oh. So now everybody trying to rah with dude. Dude is like, I'm standing my ground. I'm not going nowhere. Everybody, so other people was like, calm down, let it go. Sergeant was like, let it go. Sergeant Carroll, remember he was from the 19th. He was like, come on, it's all right. You know what I'm saying? Let him stand there and watch, right? So now we all break out, right? My boys, and I call out names. The story ain't true unless she co-signed it. My man Pete Harley, I call him Pete Harley, Pete Martinez. I think there was Task Force, and my man Gleason, I think. They was in Task Force. So they told dude, they go back around the corner. He's on 7th Avenue now. They tell dude, listen, what are you doing on the corner? Because they got mad because he was there, because it came over as an 85. So they told the dude, break out. So the dude tells him, he said, I'm not going nowhere, man. So the story is true. If they listening, the story ain't true unless somebody can co-sign it. They say, yo, dude, we're going to go around the corner. We told you to leave. We're going to go around the corner. If you see it when we come back, we're going to arrest you. He said, you ain't got to go nowhere. I'm not going to leave. So he said, yo, this shit is hilarious.
You might as well get me now.
Yo, he said, you ain't got to go around the corner. You can stay right here. I'm not going nowhere. Yo, these cats go and hit the 4 corners. They go to 8th. Pew. 112. Pew. Went down to 7th. Pew. Yo, they was like, yo, you still here? He said, I told y'all punks I wasn't going nowhere, right? So they get out the car. They said, okay, yo, you got to come with us. They go to grab him. Money we used to box. Come to find out, used to box. Huh? Pop, pop. He rocks my man Gleason. Yo, he rocks him. Now my man Pete, he takes his radio. Central 85 again. Forthwith. He goes to hit him with the radio. He blocks it. It was like a movie. Huh? Pop, pop. They come back. All these cats are sprayed out in the fucking street. You know what I'm saying? He takes the van. Yo, you see it touches Kevin Hart. Kevin don't like this shit. He don't like to hear about them cops getting their ass beat. He takes the garbage can. He throws it through the police van. Yo, when everybody gets back there, right? Dude is standing there on the corner like this. So they're like, yo, what happened? He said, yo, they came over here effing with me. I had to tell them, can't say yo. Yo, we get back to the precinct. Yo, we come to the precinct. We processing I'm helping the other guy process the collar, and my man is standing there like this with like an ice pack from EMS on his eye. So I said, what's wrong? He said, yo, y'all can't clean up your own shit in the 2A? I said, all in the 2A, all right. I said, that's what's motherfuckers like beat up. I said, oh my God. I said, yo, I'm just saying. Sweetheart. I'm just telling the story how sometimes people just minding their business. What are you doing? Yeah, I'm just saying. Like, yo, I always thought that was the craziest, funniest story.
But what happened to the guy that pieced him off? They didn't lock him up?
Oh, no, yeah, he got locked up.
And they didn't mess with him when he got in there?
No, but the bottom line, he was like, yo, he did what he did. When everybody came, you know, when they formed Voltron, he put his hands behind his back. He didn't have no problem with nobody else. It was just done.
But they didn't do nothing to him when he got in the precinct. See,
that's because when I was in the precinct, he was like this. Yo, Rich, he was like this. So
nobody wanted none of that.
Yo, I mean, listen, I would have took that smoke, but the bottom line is it wasn't my fight. Because like I said, this is the same dude that I had on the thing that started hitting me with the In Living Color. Unequivocally with the powers that be. But I was like, yo, when I asked him, I said, yo, what you looking at? He said, I'm gonna make sure that you don't mistreat and disrespect the brother. I was like, all right, no problem. You know what I'm saying? Yo, it was just crazy. Let me tell you something. If these officers was watching right now, if anybody I know, my man worked in the 2-6. I forgot his name. And my man Pete Martinez. Yo, I put people's names out there because the bottom line is a story ain't true unless somebody could co-sign it. If I was at a bar right now at Coogan's or Hula Hands or wherever, if I saw Pete right now, I'll bring that story up. He would laugh at that day. Cause yo, that motherfucker whipped their ass. Let me tell you something.
You say Kevin don't like that shit. Look, he ain't even
laughing. Yo, Rich.
He like, ain't nothing funny about that shit.
Yo, Rich, you saw Kevin's face when I was telling that story. He's like this.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Now the bottom line is, I get it. Nobody wants to see an officer get his ass handed to him. But the moral of that story is, Jude was standing his ground. He was at a distance. He was against the wall, like you said. But cops saw that he was standing there, and what do cops do? Get out of here. He was like, yo, I don't have to go nowhere.
But the reality is he didn't have to.
But he let his hands, and let me tell you something, he used double negatives. He said, I don't have to go anywhere, nowhere type shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, yo, I ain't going nowhere. And listen, the bottom line is Cat was nice with his hands. They wasn't having it. He wasn't having it. The officers tried to do, listen.
They tried to what, though? That's the part I'm getting to. They tried to do what to him? He said that he's not going nowhere. He didn't have to.
They tried to enforce their authority.
But at what authority do they have to force him to walk away from anywhere? But there was no crime scene. Listen, it's over. They're leaving.
I'm not justifying why they did it. I'm telling you the mentality of what they did.
Right.
Yeah.
See that's the elephant. I'm not trying to tell you they're right.
Let me ask you something.
Sure.
If that was a white guy standing there saying all of that stuff like a white man would say it instead of like a living color, right? He said, listen, buddy, I'm not going anywhere. They wouldn't have came back for his ass. They wouldn't have even came back for him.
White boy guy voice again.
You like that, right? That was my Joey voice. That's the Joey, the white boy that used to come to my house and tell me that I had rights when my mother would kick the door in my room and say, "What the fuck is going on in here?"
Exactly, yo.
She say, "Dude, your mom is violating your rights, your privacy, dude."
Come on, man.
Rich, one of the things we were taught as young cops was you don't let people disrespect you, right? And it depend upon what level a cop took that to, right? If we go back further years and years in cops,
Kevin,
right?
Let me stop you right there. As a man, a young man, anybody is taught, don't let people disrespect you. So if a cop is disrespecting you, or a fireman is disrespecting you, or a doctor or anybody is disrespecting you, you can say, I'm not going for it. I'm not going to allow you to disrespect me and violate my rights as a human to exist, right?
Yeah,
so
right.
If I'm disrespecting you by not letting you disrespect me, come on.
I'm not, you don't let me finish, but what we're trying to give you, what Bill just finished giving, I'm trying to give you to is the mentality. That's it. I'm not justifying it. I'm not saying it's right. I'm trying to give you, it's the mentality. These are the things that old school cops taught the new cops. You don't let somebody on the street disrespect you, because if somebody disrespects you, people think you're weak. You're gonna get hurt. You're gonna find yourself in trouble. So you're taught, they're teaching young cops back then
to not let people disrespect you that you think shouldn't get respect from you.
On the other end of this, Rich, when people do start, like we've given a couple of funny stories, and you gave a story, like you were in the right, and the cop shouldn't have talked to you that way, right? He shouldn't even walked over to you. He should have just did his business, and that's it, right?
I probably would have got locked up if I didn't show him my business card and was in a suit. He might have locked me up just because I was like the dude, you're talking about. When they told me to get out of here, I said, I'm not going anywhere. I showed him my business card, right? So if I was the other guy, I say, yo, man, I'm not going to let you violate these brothers' rights. And then they say, yo, you better get out of here. And I'm saying, I'm not going nowhere. They would have did what they did to that guy to me.
Yeah. I got you.
So, I mean, again, where we at with this? I mean, respect is something that should be given to anyone.
But let me just say this, and then I want to go to something else. Where the hell did Chuck go? Let me say,
He was feeling disrespected.
Yeah. There you are, Chucky. I see.
Yo, I don't know what's going on with my internet connection, man. I got the
Yeah,
1G
you
minus.
had 3G,
Hey, Bill.
3G and a half.
I don't know what's going on, man. This freaking computer's got a mind of its own, baby.
First and foremost, yo, shout out to everybody that's watching this Real Talk Chronicles. I'm your host, Bill Forster. I got my co-host, Chuck Richards. I got my co-host, Richard Williams, and of course, my co-host, Kevin Branzetti. If you're watching from YouTube, press the button, like and subscribe to it. If you're watching from Facebook, share it, let people see what's going on. Listen, we had just having an old school conversation, but I got to give a shout out, Kev, to the legend of the 2-8. John Bolden is in the building. Shout out to the king. Old school extraordinaire. Listen, if Bolden came on the thing and he told some stories, you think I got some stories? Bolden got some stories, baby. Now, Kev, let's go. We're gonna move on because we shout out Cheryl White in the building. We got 15 minutes. Norman said old school police would try and take it out first. I would talk to them first because I didn't like filling out reports. Absolutely. Kevin Gray says respect is a two-way street. It's all right, Cheryl. I forgive you. She says, sorry, I'm late, fellas. Hello, gentlemen. Kevin, go to the point about what I said, good cop, bad cop situation. I think I want to play. I want to let that to be the last conversation for the last 15 minutes.
Good cop, bad cop. You did send me. Was that in a text?
No, it was an email. I think you read it earlier before you said. I said something about is it good police officer or bad cop? Which one is it? I think. Yeah, everybody. So our sponsors are Melba's, Leon Ellis, a Chocolat, Soft Illusions Art Gallery, and Deadly Arts Magazine. You can buy on Amazon. Hello, Elizabeth. How are you? No, I'm saying, yo, Kev, Russia hacked your internet. Yeah, he's talking to you, Chuck, too. He said, yo, no.
Must have, man. I don't know what's going on, man. I don't know what's going on. Zapping in and out, switching back and forth.
I know one thing. I bet not.
No, that's internal affairs.
Yo, no one was like, yo, Chuck, Russia hacked your internet. Yo, I better not see you go off again and I see Putin show up and start telling me what the hell is saying. I'll be like, yo, listen, Putin, I'm a tough guy over the internet.
Hey, but let me ask you something. Correct me if I'm wrong, because I was looking at the map. Wasn't the Ukraine at some point part of the Soviet Union before they broke up?
Yes.
Right. Yes.
And a lot of those countries bordering that used to be a part of the Soviet Union before they collapsed, right?
Yes,
right.
Now, I know Putin is always pissed off about that whole collapse shit, and he wants to get those countries back into his fold. And don't get me wrong for a second, I'm not justifying none of this aggressive shit, right? But if I'm not mistaken, his beef is he doesn't want them joining the UN. NATO, right? NATO. He doesn't want them joining NATO, right? That's his beef. He just like China, all those countries are communist countries, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. So them being like right there with them on their border, he's like, listen, y'all motherfuckers got to stay neutral, because if you're going to pick a side, I want you to pick my side, not that side.
No,
right?
Rich. You know what I take it as? I take it as a guy that sees his ex with the new guy, and he doesn't want it. But when he sees the ex his ex girl with the new guy, all of a sudden about, yo, I'm jealous. What you doing with him? You my girl. And both of them are like, what are you talking about, yo? Yo, we ain't got nothing to do with you. Yo, go ahead, handle your business. So, yo, what? Now all of a sudden, I'm gonna call you all the time, and I'm gonna press on you, and I'm gonna put pressure. I'll beat your man up. I'm gonna come by your house now, and I still love you. Wait a minute, you got 3 kids since the last time we've been together.
But listen, I rock with you with that. But then you got to use that same analogy with Cuba. United States didn't want Russia fucking with Cuba because Cuba was right there. Hold up, Cuba's right there.
Because right now, Cuba ain't at war.
No. But I'm just talking about that analogy of your old girlfriend, because the United States used to run Cuba.
Absolutely.
Right? Mm-hmm. And then Castro took over and became communist.
And then Castro was like,
and he didn't want the Soviet Union them to be locked with the Soviet Union and them taking shit over there because that's too close to the United States.
Facts.
Right?
Facts.
So now you got the Ukraine who's using that same analogy that we don't want you fucking with NATO because you right here with us.
Yes, absolutely.
And used to be my bitch. So,
Rich, bottom line is they invaded a free country. Period. Like, that's it.
Right. Okay.
They invaded a free country and are killing people.
I think we need to worry about who's killing us in this country.
No,
all the shit that's going on in this country. And once you clean your own house, like they say in the Bible, with whoever without sin throw the first stone. Let's clean our shit up a little something.
No,
you know what I'm saying?
Rich, I totally get it.
You know what I mean, the energy and the money that they're going to put into trying to clean up somebody else's shit, that money could be used here, clean up our shit.
Yo, let me tell you something. What I've always said, everybody's spread out, got so many different things that they're trying to fight the cause for. Some people want to save the dogs. Let's feed the pigeons and all kind of. There's so many different.
They treat animals better than they treat black people.
Exactly, and let me just say this. I figured if we go down a line and we come together and put a list together from 1 to whatever number you want to go to, and let's all together unify and start knocking these lists down. You know what I'm saying? Like a project. Okay, listen. You know, there's so many different causes. Every month there's a different cause. So let's do cancer. Let's do Russia. Let's do poverty. Let's do this. Let's do that. And line them up, whatever we deem is important. Let me tell you something. The world will be a better place because now we come together and we galvanize to solve problems. Right now, you got me over here. You got Chuck over there. You got Kevin over there. We got Rich over there. And then we're trying to each explain why our issue is the most important. Listen, they're all important. But so if I galvanize and I come to Kevin and Rich and Chuck and I say, you know what? I'm going to put Bill's issue, I'm going to make it fourth. Kev, I'll go with you first. Rich, I'll go with you second. And Chuck, I'll go with you second. But then you come around and back me on mine. Listen, and we start slaying a dragon. But right now, nobody's going to do that. Because we're sitting here, like you said, listen, we got people that can't get out of Ukraine. We got black people. So what's the problem? Are we worried about black people getting out of Ukraine? Or are we worried about Russia bombing Ukraine? Both of them are problematic. So now, wait a minute. Who do we fight? Do we fight the Ukrainians or we fight the Russians? But you fight the Russians, you fight the Ukrainians. There's so much going on. Let's pick one, and then let's go after the other. Because the bottom line is, like, I'm that perfect example of, wait a minute. Now let me get back to you. I'm not finished with you. You know what I'm saying? Like, yo.
Hey, Bill, if I was a black man in that country, knowing all this about to get ready to happen, why would I stay there to see if it's gonna happen? You ever been at a party and you see some shit, like some motherfuckers coming that you know about to get busy? You gonna stand around and wait for it to happen?
No, I'm out.
Yo, you know what? I'm out of here.
Yo, Rich, you know that. Chuck, Kev, you all of that. Yo, I see you later. Yo, what's going on? Nah, I don't like the energy now. Wait a minute, I'm trying to get this girl number. But go ahead, man. I'll be in the car. F that. I ain't got no time to be playing with you. And if you take too long, you'll be taking the cab or the train home because I'm out. Because once my spider senses start tingling, I don't have no time to be. Listen, I'm not making the news. I want to read it. I want to see it. You know what I'm saying?
If your kids was over there going to school, what would you have told them the minute this shit jumped off?
I think, honestly speaking, I think once they realized shit was hitting the fan, they wanted to get out. They tried. They did everything diligent to get out. But unfortunately, the Ukrainian government didn't permit them. They left them as the last amount of people in order to leave. They wanted out of there. They didn't want.
Yo, son, them motherfuckers could have been out of there. This ain't something that just happened. This shit been brewing for about a month.
No, but I don't think they believed it was going to come to fruition. I don't think even the Ukrainians.
You know what they said? They was like, nah, I got to go to that Ukrainian party happening down by DJ Ukraine. That shit is on the 20th. I gotta make that party. I got a date on the next date. Yo, listen, if I'd have heard the rumblings, listen, what do we do? When we watch the news, there's a snowstorm coming. What do? We go shopping and preventive maintenance. We put stuff in the house. Listen, if I hear that there's going to be a gang coming through or there's going to be a whole lot of ass kicking and I know my ass is not in line to be kicked, I'm leaving. That's what
or when that hurricane is coming that's about to hit the shore, they say, you know what? Evacuate. Even though the forecast says it's coming this way and it might turn, we ain't taking no chances. Get the fuck out of there. Right? Because if it hit, better safe than sorry.
Yo, what do you see? You see that one person with the wind blowing and their wig and their hair pulling to the side, and they're talking about, I'll stay here. I don't care. I want to stay with my house. Yeah, all right. I'll see you later, Jimmy. You know what I'm saying? Yo, everybody, this is Real Talk Chronicles. I'm your host, Bill Forster, with my co-host, Kevin Branzetti, Chuck Richards, and Richard Williams. Kev, let's go to this last video. Is this it right here? Oh, that's you. That's Rich. All right. I got you. Let's play this because I really want to get your take, you guys' take on this, because I got a different spin on this right now. Ready? Let's go. Go, Kev.
Hey. Get back! Or what? Get back! Or what? Get back! Or what? Get back! Hey, get your baby.
Columbus, Ohio police showed their citizens who they are in this video from years prior. The man who got punched for absolutely no reason is Jonathan Robinson, who's manhandled by the cops. Awful scenes that unfortunately continue to play out in this country. Via WBNS, Jonathan Robinson says he was crossing the street to protect his wife, who was holding their 2 children, when he was shoved and then punched by the officer. Initially, I'm there approaching the officer because he has a weapon. My wife, my 2 children are right there, Robinson said. He has a weapon. His finger is on the trigger. He's moving toward her. He has his arms out toward my wife. Police reports indicate the officer involved in the situation was listed as Officer Johnson. Johnson puts out videos like these on his Instagram account in an attempt to put out something activists call propaganda, a reference to police and its precincts using their social media channels to promote and propagandize cop behavior to score points with the community. Here, he is dancing in one video. Here's another posted on Mr. Johnson's Instagram page, repurposing a clip he shared on his TikTok under the same username. He was even honored at an Ohio State football game for his dancing videos. The power of sports and police forces remain intact no matter what any politician says. Locally, he shows, well, if you define it as a jumper, that's what we're seeing in this video, none of which should overshadow the fact he sucker punched a citizen while bearing a rifle in his hands. In the years since, Officer Anthony Johnson was captured on video showing his dance moves. He's become known as Columbus's dancing cop and worked to promote community policing via speaking engagements and a podcast. On his Instagram, Officer AJ posts videos that show him joking, dancing, and singing with local teens, wrote BuzzFeed News. Officers first arrived at the home after someone set off fireworks nearby, the sound of which was caught by ShotSpotter, an automatic gunshot detection system. Robinson's brother, Daryl Sloan, said in a Facebook video. Sloan said he explained to police that only he and his brothers were in the house with their children and they did not have a firearm. But more officers continued to arrive, he said, ordering the adults out of the house while the children remained inside. Sloan said an officer then gave permission for a relative to pick up the children, but he failed to communicate that to other officers. The officer orders Robinson to get back. Or what? Robinson shouts in reply. After several exchanges, Johnson then pushes Robinson, telling him to back up and punches him. He sucker punched my brother, Sloan said, and he laughed about it. The man who was hit is having a hard time processing the incident. Robinson, 25, says he was on the receiving end of the punch. I'm glad to be alive, he says. In the aftermath, Columbus, Ohio police's Twitter feed said that uses of force can appear shocking, but par for the course, did not condemn the officer's behavior. Furthermore, the Columbus Dispatch noted Keith Farrell, president of Fraternal Order of Police Capital City Lodge Number 9, confirmed that an internal police investigation completed the week prior cleared Officer Johnson for his actions. Farrell said he thinks the lessons from this incident are pretty simple. Quote, if people comply, they won't have this issue in the first place, Farrell said in a scathing sentence, appearing to place blame on Robinson and others, but not the officer. In the city, local pastor Frederick Lamar called for a meeting, which included Robinson, Officer Johnson, Columbus Police Chief Thomas Quinlan, and Robinson's family members all joined the meeting, which Lamar said was not about the facts, it was about healing. Quote, you don't have to excuse people, but you understand why they do what they do, and we came away with that, Lamar said. Clearly, it was inexcusable. Soon thereafter, 614 Now reported Jonathan Robinson, who was punched in the neck by Officer Anthony Johnson, a.k.a. the dancing cop, along with 2 other men involved in the incident, have filed a lawsuit claiming 6 officers violated their civil rights.
Okay.
Hey, Mr. Johnson. How you been? It's been a long time, huh? We stopped by because we need to talk to you about something.
You got to mute it, Kev. Yeah. So listen, what do we have? Do we have a good cop, bad situation? We have a good cop, wasn't taking that BS. Do we have a fake good cop? All the good stuff that you see him doing, and then one situation is who he really is. I have my spin on this, and I think I don't know if I want to go first yet. I want to see what other people.
You don't never go first, man.
Well, no, I'm gonna go first now. Then shit. Let me say.
Go first, man.
I'm gonna go
See what
first
the hell
right
you
now.
got to say.
I'm gonna go first right now. Then what I think is, I think we have a good cop that wasn't having it. I don't know if they have history, but I think he didn't have to punch him. Could he have mushed him, pushed him? Because Chuck, Kevin, and I know shit like that would have happened in our era. When I say back up, back up. If not, it could have happened. I'm not going to say I was that officer. I'm not going to tell you that. You know what I'm trying to say? But I'm going to tell you that when I said move, you move. It's like that song. Now, what I will say is that certain people are just not taking all that verbiage. You understand, Tom, what I'm trying to say? Was it now? See, this is where things get just like the slippery slope. Was he a threat? Absolutely not. Was he verbally disrespectful, which he has the right to do? Yes, he could have been. But the thing is, could he have pushed him back? Yes, absolutely. Did he have to punch him? Absolutely, unequivocally not. Right? But does that make him a racist officer from all the good things that we've seen and they just showed him do? Absolutely not. We are human, even though we are above the law because we are held to a higher standard. Did he drop the ball? Probably so. I'll go to you, Chuck, and then I'll go to you, Kevin, and Rich, I'll let you close it.
Well, I look at it like this. I mean, you have to take in the totality of the whole situation, right? They're supposedly coming to what they appear to think is shots fired. All right. So we're talking about a serious job. We're not talking about a car stop, which is just as dangerous, but we're talking about something that pops up on this shot spotter. And they're all under the assumption they're coming to possibly shots fired. Now, from what I was able to gather from it all, the guy that was commentating is that once the police arrived, there was one particular officer. They had removed all the adults out the house. They left the kids in the house. And upon him actually conferring with one of the adults that they pulled out, he found out that later it was just a firecracker, X, Y, and Z. and within earshot, the other officers weren't told that information. So every officer that's showing up there is on high alert, right? They're all watching their back because, let's say for argument's sake, there may not be a gun or a gunshot that went off inside that house. Maybe it's in the surrounding area. Maybe it's right outside the house. Maybe the gun is across the street. They're not sure. All right, so now you have this cop who obviously has been trying to do what's necessary to bring the community together. He's out there being and doing his job in terms of the community. And you get this one guy now who's erratic. Everyone's emotions and everyone's on high alert. Once again, it's a possible man with a gun. It's shots fired. And now this guy erratically just starts to run up on another. Obviously, they all got their backs turned. They turn around and this guy's starting to come across the street. All right. Everyone's spidey senses now is tingling because they don't know if this guy's coming across the street because maybe he's the one that may have a firearm. Maybe he might not have a firearm, but he's mouthing off. And all they want to do, they're trying to preserve a perimeter because prior to him coming across the street, the cops were on the opposite side of the street. They were in front of the house and they were in the area where they felt maybe the threat might have been, not knowing that, guess what? There was no threat. It was just a firecracker. Now the brother comes over. He's mouthing off. This guy's saying, look, get back. He pushes him back. Once again, you see him. He's got a high-powered firearm, right? He's got a shotgun around his freaking waist. He didn't come out of his car just carrying that because, oh, today is the day I'm going to carry a shotgun. No, we're coming to a freaking man with a gun, all right? There's a possible man with a gun. So I'm going to come out of my vehicle, one up, and I got a shotgun. So naturally, just for pure safety, I think any person, any normal human being would stay the hell away from an area or don't want to have anything to do with the police based on those circumstances. They see them standing there with those type of high-powered weapons, and they're saying, look, do me a favor, brother, just back up. There's no reason to come bum rushing across the street, yelling the whole 9 yards. The kids are in the house. They're just having a conversation with the female about whatever they heard or what they thought they heard, what they were told was a man with a gun or a shot fired. And now this guy's starting to escalate the situation. And now he's confronting the officer. The officer says, look, do me a favor, just back up. The guy says, I'm not backing up. Now he starts to move forward. The officer pushes him. All right, you should have pushed him to, look, do me a favor, just stay there. The punch, okay, that was unnecessary. But the fact of the matter is, they're human beings. Everyone is at a very, I would say their emotions are heightened. They're there not because it's a domestic incident, which is dangerous. A car stop is dangerous, but they're thinking, they're on the impression that there's someone in that area with a gun, and they're coming there with the understanding that they're going to have to deal with a situation with a possible man with a gun. And unfortunately, yeah, this officer, what I say, he's prejudiced in any shape, form, or fashion. Is he someone who should be looked at as being racist or he's prejudiced against black people? No. He's obviously, this is one day that, guess what? You caught him on a bad day. And we all got bad days. No matter what we do in our profession, one day we woke up on the wrong side of the bed. And this was one of those days that, unfortunately, this gentleman, instead of just backing up when he pushed him the first time, taking into consideration the gravity of the job and why they were there, it escalated. And now he decided, you know what? He lost it. It doesn't justify him punching the guy in the face at all. No, it doesn't. But you have to look at it as in the totality of the job and why they came there and the circumstances surrounding it.
You're muted.
You're muted.
Go ahead, Kev.
I got nothing to say.
Kevin's like, yo, let them take that smoke tonight. He said, Chuck and Bill on the block. He said, I don't have to go to flag. He was like, oh my God, absolutely.
So you're yielding your time to me, as we say in politics?
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, it's Rich, it's 9:10. No time left.
Oh, no, listen. And you're absolutely right, because after Rich says what he has to say, we're going to come back next week and Wednesday and finish this up. But the bottom line, I got to give a shout out to my cousin Marisha. I love you, cuz. What's happening?
For next week, Bill, I found a much longer video. I found all of their body cams.
Good.
So,
and next week, I'm going to try to
save
do
it.
next week, you'll save it. And next week, we're going to try to do a segment with correction officers We're going to try to get to the bottom of what's happening with Rikers Island too. But the thing is, Rich, I'm going to yield. We're going to yield our time to you, and then Kev, give us some positive affirmation. Chuck, give us some positive affirmation, and Rich, you can give us some positive affirmation, and we get out of here. Because listen, it's past that time, but it's. I want you to give your time, but we're going to come back to that video and finish up on that. Go ahead, Rich.
All right, now, from what I understand, they were called because they heard shots fired on the meter that said it was a gun, right? Is that it? And then they found out later that it wasn't a gun. Am I correct?
I don't have the stats. We're going to figure it out. Go ahead. Just give us. We'll come back. We're going to figure it out.
All right.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But anyway, you know, my thing was when I watched that video, and the guy was saying, well, the officer was telling him to back up or get out of here. He was saying, or what? And it wasn't to the guy that hit him. It was to the other officer. That exchange wasn't between the cop that hit him. That cop was listening to that exchange, and he walked forward. And when he said, or what, to the other guy, he pushed him, then caught him. Wow. So if you would have saw that video.
You found out or what?
No, but my point, but listen, my point is this. I agree with you when you say sometimes you have a bad day, right? Now, I'm going to say that I don't think the cop was racist. I don't think that. But I think that he exercised his authority at that point and made a call that he was feeling some kind of way about how this guy was acting. So I'm not going to chalk that one up to being a racist act.
Absolutely.
I'm going to chalk that up to a person that's in an authority position that has a weapon that can end a life, taking a situation personal.
But hold on, let's alleviate the weapon, because the bottom line is he didn't use his weapon.
No, that's not that. But that's not what I meant. Let me try to clarify it. Then I'm not saying that he used a weapon. I'm saying that he has a weapon that can go to the level of not just a punch. When you start to take shit that happens personally.
Okay, so let me ask you a question, and we do have to get out of here. If he didn't have that weapon and he would have just pushed him several times and then punched him in the face, would you have made that statement?
No, listen, a police officer has a weapon, whether it's a shotgun in his hand or a pistol on his waist.
Absolutely.
When I worked in foster care, I was in a similar situation where a kid was saying all kind of reckless shit about my mother. And at that time, my mother was in the hospital facing life-threatening surgery. So when he starts talking about my mother, I'm like, motherfucker, I will fuck you up in here. And I went at this motherfucker. And the whole fucking building had to hold me from beating this kid's ass. My supervisor came and said, motherfucker, get in this fucking office. He said, what the fuck is wrong with you? I said, did you hear what that motherfucker said to me? He said, I heard what he said, but I saw what you did. What the fuck is wrong with you? I said, yo, son, you don't talk about somebody's mother, right? So you know what he did? He reached in his drawer and handed me a file and said, read that shit. I said, for what? He said, read that shit. I read the file. The file said that this kid was in care because his mother was a crackhead and used to pimp him out to men to have sex to get a hit. He had cigarette burns on his body. He was starved. And this is what his depiction of a mother was. So who the fuck is your mother to him? He said he wasn't talking about your mother when he said that. He was talking about his mother. He said, you can't take this job personally. You don't know what's going on in the lives of anybody you come in contact with, but you're entrusted to the care of this individual.
But
police officers are entrusted with the care of the community in which they serve.
Let me interject, Rich.
But I'm just getting to my point. That's all. Okay. I'm just saying, when you are entrusted to the care of public service, where you are here to service the community for whatever ills they have, verbiage should never be something that would trigger you to do something physically to somebody if you have that understanding.
Well, let me just say this, and I'm gonna close this out.
And that never happened to me again after that.
Okay, but let me just say this. First and foremost, as you could say, and I use the term affectionately, you had a glitch in your matrix. So if you had a glitch in your matrix and you saw what it was, and you didn't have a firearm, but you went 730, how do you think it happens to officers? Now, yeah, of course, we're held to a higher standard, and we have a firearm that can take somebody's life. So yeah, in situations, that's why you have another officer that should be like, yo, calm down, relax, and stuff like that. But we all have to understand that no one's perfect, you know, and nobody's above the law.
I agree with you.
No one's perfect.
But Bill, that was to my point. The interaction wasn't between him and the guy that hit him. It was between him and the other officer. If you look at that video, he wasn't talking to the guy that hit him. He was talking to the other officer. And the other officer was telling him, yo, stand back, get back. He said, or what? Or what? Dude comes from the side.
But let me just say this.
Pushes them and cracks them. Bob.
But let me just say this. Sometimes just because we can all wear a certain color or uniform, just think about it. You play ball, a guard gets a hard foul by a forward or a center. What are you gonna do? You're gonna push in and say, yo, what are you doing? Don't hit my guard, don't hit my dude like that. Why? Because you protect them. We protect, we covet what we work with.
But he wasn't hitting the guy. He was just talking.
It's not, but see, I'm just talking about it's verbal. Sometimes we gotta kind of like hold court. That's all I'm trying to say. And all I'm trying to say before we get out of here is that sometimes we need to equate situations to other life situations, because Pastor Kevin Graves says something. He says, if you've never worn the uniform of a police officer, you will never know the pressures associated with the assignment. And I say that easy. There are a lot of people that should have never worn this uniform. I will go on the record and say that every other day or any Wednesday of this Sunday. Listen, there are people that should have never worn a uniform, bro. They not built for it. Now, have I seen people wear this uniform and grow into good cops? Absolutely. Have I seen people put this uniform on and they've still been the pieces of shit that they were when they put the uniform on from whatever their 20th year? Absolutely. But the bottom line is, if you have not grown any empathy or compassion for your fellow man, and you put this uniform on and you still have some cynical, diabolical, I hate liberals and all that things, then you're the problem. You really are. And that's my public service announcement tonight, because the bottom line is, if this job, I've helped more people for being a police officer than I've hurt. I know that. I get calls to this day. Still, what's your advice? What do you think I should do? What can I do? Because my knowledge of law and where I can channel somebody, that's a police officer. I'm not a cop. I'm a police officer. That's my real talk moment. Chuck, give us some closing arguments. Kev, give us some closing arguments. Rich, give us some closing arguments, and then we out of here, man.
As always, brother, it's always a pleasure, man, being on this panel. I got the opportunity to sit back and listen to you guys just go at each other, which is great.
Me too.
Oh, you wasn't a part of this shit, huh?
I was like, y'all go ahead, like, bro, let me just sit back. I'm gonna just chill in the cut. It's so good.
Yeah.
Which is great. But other than that, man, no, like I said, it's always a blessing, man, to be on here on this panel with all you guys, man. And look, just love somebody, man, please, because y'all obviously love each other.
So, absolutely.
Everybody gonna love somebody. That's all, man. That's all I have to say.
Hug somebody.
You know?
Exactly.
That's right.
I know if I don't get over here in 2 minutes, I won't be hugged tonight and shit.
Hey, yo, let me tell you something. Hey, you and Bill don't remember when y'all arrested me. Bill and Chuck. Yo, whipped my ass in the fucking building on 150th Street in Edgecombe Avenue, and fucking Kevin was standing outside taking stats on how many times y'all hit me.
Yo, Kevin, I need to throw it in the towel tonight. I need to throw it in the
Kevin said, he said, yo, I just had to crack that joke. I'm just fucking with y'all, man. That didn't happen.
I know.
But yo, Chuck was down there like,
I'm sitting there thinking, did it happen?
No, you know what they say, when you look to the right, you was looking for the truth.
I do remember getting something off. And the thing about it is, I do remember kicking somebody's ass on X. That's why.
Well, it wasn't me. I'm just fucking with y'all. But somebody got their ass whipped up.
Somebody got their ass at 1315 St. Nicholas Avenue.
That's right.
Oh, man.
No, Kev, get us out of here, man. Come on.
All right, short and sweet tonight because it was easy. I didn't have to get in trouble tonight. I didn't get yelled at. What's better than this week?
Hey, Kevin, who the fuck yells at you? Who's yelling at you?
Yo, Kevin's so happy he get that smoke tonight.
I'm not the bad guy tonight.
Who's yelling at Kevin?
Yo, let me tell you something. I know Kevin back there rubbing his feet together when he see Chuck and I take some smoke on some police shit. He be like, yo, his feet be connected together.
They said, what? And, you went first. I'm like, he just said what? Come on.
Kevin, I know you was like, yes, yes.
Hey, listen, Kevin, white guys don't have to take no smoke. You know why? Because they just take a deep breath and, they go like this. They go, shit, I'm white. What the fuck?
Oh, if you're going to do it, Rich, I want your white boy voice again.
Oh my God. Yo, everybody, this is Real Talk Chronicles. I'm your host, Bill Forster. That's my co-host, Kevin Branzetti, Richard Williams, Chuck Richards. Listen, if you like it, subscribe to it if you're on YouTube. If you're on Facebook, share it. Tomorrow, I'm coming back for a special edition. Promoters, legendary promoters, Lincoln Sessons, Melvin Francis, and Sam Tuga. If you want to chime in and learn about the history of how nightlife entertainment, come back, please. Listen, Real Talk Chronicles. Good night, everybody. Good night. No ass beating tonight. I'm okay.
Hey, yo, are we in the green room now?
Yeah, no.